map, it's a kill. It is. Now he's checking to see if he's creeping the orange, and he's not. So Deadman's kind of lost right now. He shouldn't be, but he's sort of like, where's my opponent? Also, note the time on the Hunter's Hall. You want to do that halfway through Tier 2. Now he didn't. He did that a little bit late. I mean, like a couple seconds isn't a big deal, but you want that Hunter's Hall up pretty much as quickly as possible. No, I'm not quite sure how Deadman's spending all of this money. He did go 5 archers, that's why. You typically only need 4, 5 works as well, but you only really need 4. Any less is pretty much asking for trouble, and any more than 5 is a complete waste. So you do 4 or 5 archers, just letting you know, 4 or 5 archers is the ideal number. If you're doing Elf Mirror and you're going bears, 5 archers is the number, because that's enough to, balance out a Naga fight in the middle, and it's not so many that you have no money to get your second hero or start your tech or whatever. 5 is the magic number in Mirror, 4 or 5 is the magic number against human, just letting you know. So, Naga Switch picks up, notice he teched faster. This is because, let's pause the game real quick, sorry, letting you know, pause in 3, 2, 1, pause. I'm at 509, pause the game, 509, pause, okay. Notice that he got Tier 2 first. This is the point that I want to stress, which is why I want you to pause, so you're not focusing on other things. You want your tech fast. You need to tech fast. Letting you know, tech fast. This is why he did that slightly late AOW. He got 1 on lumber before the AOW, because it gave him the lumber to build his second Moonwell faster. When you're doing a 9-wisp tech, which is the standard tech, where you're doing 9 wisps on lumber, 9 wisps on lumber, there we go, where you're waiting for 1 wisp, after your Moonwell finishes. You're waiting for that food so you can make your 9th wisp. That's the best tech. You spend not too much gold, and if you don't detonate any, you don't need to replace any. Ideally, really all this is getting your Tier 2 fast and having enough lumber. Do the 9 wisp tech, it's the best. As a quick anecdote, something I had heard, I forget who was saying it, but someone told me something. There is a best way to do everything. This is a, competitive game, a competitive sport, if you will. I mean, winning or losing depends on who plays better. And yes, there's adaptation in this game, but before you know any specific details of your opponent, like before you know whether he's going rifles or not, before you know whether he's going to expand or not, there is a best way to do everything. This is the best way. Do it. Okay. And, you can apply this to a lot of things, whether it's the creep pattern, whether it's the build order, whether it's, how many archers do I get, whether it's when do I get boots, when do I build by Hunter's Hall, how many drives do I make. There is a best way to do everything. And rely on the fact that these people who are in SK, 4K, etc., the actual pro gamers, probably know the best way better than you do. Now, yes, you can always, implement your own strategies and say, well, hey, this strategy works. Yes, granted, there are other things you can do than exactly one thing. However, and they can be good, fine. But in the grand scheme of things, there is a best way to do everything. And whether it's actually massing hunts, that might actually be the best way to, beat an elf on Turtle Rock as massing hunts. It might be. However, chances are, your strategies are inferior to those of the pro gamers. You're probably better off listening to them. I'm not saying don't be original, because certainly you can surprise good players with weird things. For example, Axslav 2-0'd Sky right after WCG. Most elves lost to him. So, I mean, I'm just saying, yes, there is some variation in this game, and, you can surprise your opponents. And in that case, in the case of beating Sky and Echo Isles, the best thing to do was mass hunts with a solo panda. Yes. However, in most situations, the standard thing to perfection is the best way to do it. So, just sort of stressing, that was sort of a roundabout point, but there is a best way to do everything. And in this case, it's, in the case of doing DH Naga Dryad Bear, the best way is a 9-wisp tech and hit Tier 2 as fast as possible. Because here's what it did. He's got a Naga, Todd doesn't. And the thing is, even though Todd brought in Militia to help him fight, guess what happens? The Archmage is already getting right-clicked, which means it's going to take damage from the Naga, it's going to take damage from the Archers, it's going to take damage from the DH, and these lores are going to start going up soon. All Todd's going to be able to do is, oh shit, TP as soon as you grab your Naga. Let's watch. Unpause in 3, 2, 1, unpause. 510, 511, 512, etc. Okay. So you see the Hunter Hall is picked up. And notice that even though it was a little bit late, it really didn't matter. He just now has enough money to put up 2 lores. It's not like it really hurt him that much. So, notice, Todd passes the boots to get his Naga away. And actually, despite the fact that he did get his Naga first, Militia are frickin' awesome. So, however, what it did do is, thing is, with those Militia, Human does have the map control, because Archers don't do anything to Heroes, and Militia and Foots do a lot to archers. So while Deadman didn't force a TP, I was wrong about that. It did let him get his Naga in peace. Notice he took very little damage. All he did was, like, Moonwell's DH, and he's fine. Notice that best way to do everything point. Todd brought Militia, which prevented him from losing his hero. Again, best way to do something. Bring Militia. Oh no, you lose like 30 wood overall. You don't lose a hero. Scoreboard. So, what Deadman is doing right now then is saying, okay, well, I can't really... Well, he could try to fight him. However, what would happen, because the Naga has boots, he would right-click an archer, dust it, kill it, right-click another archer, dust it, kill it, and while Deadman could try to chase down Footman with his DH, not really that important compared to killing archers at a much accelerated rate. Now, this does allow Todd to creep with somewhat impunity, but it's all you can do. I mean, really, all you can really do is say, okay, well, archers actually have pretty good DPS, and, I've got, 2 heroes, and I can, moonwell up my heroes for a while, because notice, his DH is full mana, so he's actually a pretty good tank, because he's actually really efficient on moonwells. So while Todd is creeping out some pretty decent camps, Deadman's doing quite the same. So notice he picks up some Vampora, he's, picking up some EXP, and he's going to get level 2 on his Naga Sea Witch. Level 2 on both heroes, but, specifically he's pointing out the Naga Sea Witch. So, also notice what Deadman did. He didn't get a staff right away because if he's not going out to fight his opponent, I mean, if Todd's going to go tower at your base right at 2-2, what are you going to do with a staff? The Moonwells are right there. You're not going to change anything by having a staff. See, I mean, now he's got one, but the thing is, that's what they do. They wait till they have casters and ivory towers. They don't just show up when the Naga does. However, you notice that his build order is 1 lore goes Dryads, 1 lore gets Abolish Magic, and then you get a second Dryad, and then you go Bears. Or actually, well, in this case, I'm not sure if he actually does, but I mean, the overall not getting towered build order is that. Notice he has no money right now because he had to grab a staff and potions. This is important. Getting potions are very useful, because once you start casting your hero spells, you're not very efficient on Moonwells. Also, here's how to beat your opponent's tower push. You right-click the Archmage. Look, he forced a TP. Now, yes, he could have passed a potion. He should have passed a potion. But when you've got all the slowing abilities, it's sometimes hard to get that potion passed in time. Now, yes, Todd should have had a healing potion on his Archmage, and I don't believe he actually used it. But in the case of having an only level 2 Archmage that doesn't have boots on it, you can force TPs really, really easy. And when you've got, boots on your DH, you've got heal potions and a staff, and some Dryads, it's really not very hard to do. And now he's like, oh look, a really, really weak Archmage. I wonder what we can do about that. Oh right-click it. Notice he casts the dual nuke, he goes to attack it, and now unfortunately for Todd, he actually gets blocked by most of his own units, and somehow that barely dies.